Once again, it's Terry Love, your host of Track in the Groove, as we track down the latest and greatest and the best music today. Track in the Groove, your link to the best adult R&B and smooth sounds around. And yes, we're back behind stage at African World Festival 2010. And sitting right beside me is a very special guest that I am honored to have next to me. I've been listening to this brother since I have been 13 years old. You know how you dig through your record collection or an inherited collection that you have from a brother or a sister, a mother or a father from years ago, and you find something that you really like, you play it over and over and over and over and again. I'm going to tell you, this brother has helped me with my love life in grade school, in high school, and even after marriage. And even after marriage, got to throw that one in there. Introduce Mr. Najee, saxophone man, Mr. Najee. How you doing, brother Najee?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm doing extremely well. I really appreciate the time that you're taking out with us with Track in the Groove to interview. Now, tell me, how did you get your start?
Well, you know, I started as a kid in New York City, playing in bands, mainly local bands, and then that evolved into playing with professional acts. And, you know, and then my first album deal was after a tour with Chaka Khan in the late '80s, and we had major success with that. As a matter of fact, on the first tour that I did under my own name, we started here in Milwaukee at the River Theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Riverside Theater. And I caught you here. You did something at the museum a few years back. That's when I first started. I first got into radio. I think it was Jazz Up Your Palate or something like that. So I was sitting in a little booth, a little trailer that we had. You were sitting in there. I was like, that's Najee. So Najee's theme, Tokyo Blue, Illusions. Tell me how some of these albums evolved.
Well, they ended up becoming very successful records. I think they established my career very solidly. You know, even up to the present album we have out, Mind Over Matter, which is still doing very, very well.
Okay. Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you started off touring with Chaka Khan.
Yes.
How did you end up with Prince?
Well, you know, that was weird, interesting. I hadn't recorded an album for 5 years, and I was on the road a lot, and me not knowing he had been to a few of my shows, and then one day he just calls me out of the blue, you know, saying he wanted me to come to Minneapolis and hang out with him. So I did, and it ended up becoming 2 albums and probably a 3-year tour with him. Okay, you know.
That's funny. Now I'm gonna take you back. You know, I said that I grew up listening to your music, helped my love life out. Well, you know, I'm 95% of that, you know, but you helped out a little bit.
Okay.
The album Illusion, right? I think I was like 19 years old, just graduated from high school. I was up in DeVry, in Illinois, and I was listening to the tune with you and Freddie Jackson.
Oh, yes.
All I Ever Asked.
All I Ever Asked, yes.
And I said to myself, when I get married, I'm going to have this played at my wedding.
Wow.
So, what, about 15 years later? Wow. Got married, I had a vocalist and a saxophone player playing the same tune. Wow. So, just want to let you know that you've been inspiring me for some time, and it's just an honor and a pleasure to sit here next to you while doing this.
I appreciate it.
I want to change it up just a little bit here. Now, you said you started at a young age.
Yes.
I have a question for you, a 3-part question. Who inspired you to play? Who stood behind you to keep you going? And what keeps you going now?
Well, you know, I always had a drive or an appetite. My mother was probably the best, I think, at inspiring me to play. You know, as well as educators in New York that I grew up in high school. People who were very dear to my heart, Mr. David Vetter, who was a great teacher and just someone who allowed me to do what I do. Colleagues, you know, and listening to just different people. You know, as time went on, I got to meet people like Grover Washington, even Roy Ayers. He doesn't remember, but when I was young, he used to allow my brother and I to come to the studio and just sit in with him. Really? He would just teach us a lot about the business.
Wow. Now, with there not being as many outlets with smooth jazz or jazz nowadays, with the radio stations going on the phone, what can you do to help keep jazz alive?
Well, you gotta make it relevant. You know, for example, in this current album, Mind Over Matter, we came here. We got Eric Renee, who's from Milwaukee. Right. He's on the album, and Derek DeMonte Posey.
He was just here a second ago.
He was a great producer and keyboard player and friend of ours, and actually invited Eric. He came in and did one song with me. So, you know, having people like that, Jeff Lober, keeps it relevant to the audience. The audience wants to buy the music. You know, so that's really it.
Actually, Jeff Lober is a friend of Track in the Groove. He did one of my opening tracks for it. So, Pancakes, and I had somebody just do a little vocals over it.
Nice.
So, now, how do you, as far as, it's a lot of competition out there with sax. How do you stay true to the game without just trying to water down your music to be popular?
I just do what I do. You know, I don't think about the competition because to me, the competition helps build a market that we all benefit from.
Okay.
You know, there's no one sax player that can dominate the game and everybody else can't eat.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's healthy for the market. It's a healthy competition, and that's what keeps the market alive, because if you have enough interesting things in the industry that people will buy, then you have an industry that we all can benefit from.
Okay.
You know? So I never place my mind on, well, he's competitive or he's taking the market share. I mean,
Okay. I totally understand
It's
you.
ridiculous. You know?
Tell us about your new album.
It's called Mind Over Matter, and as I said, Renee is on there. You know, he came in and did a really nice thing on there. We're going to perform it tonight.
Okay.
We are debut playing this song.
Okay.
And it's done very well. Debut number 2, but I got to say, my previous albums before that, debut number 1.
Okay, right.
George Benson came out the same day. So.
Is that My Point of View?
My Point of View and Rising Sun.
Rising Sun. So, wow, so you've been in the game for quite some time. It's still extremely relevant, not just in my eyes as far as the charts, smooth jazz, saxophone players around, they really respect you, and I do it as well.
Thank you.
But I really appreciate the time that you share with me. Thank you, and continue to make great music that we can all benefit from. Terry Love for Tracking the Groove, 1290 WMCS.